Good morning, everyone. It's another Tuesday morning. How are you all doing today? This is Reganelite here with another Good Morning Show. How are you guys? Happy Tuesday. It is the 22nd of July. It's 8 a.m. Nice and early in the morning. Oh, we've only just gotten into Tuesday. Still got a couple. We've only just the week's only just started, but it's okay. Just get it. We're almost there to the halfway point, guys. And once you get to the halfway point, it is the hump. Wednesday is known as the hump of the week. Then just a little bit more, and then you will get to the weekend. The weekend will come back around again, guys. It's just take each day as it comes here. But welcome to Good Morning with Reganelite here, where we'll look at the local weather. We'll look at the whole weather in the UK. We'll look at today's daily quota. And then we'll look at today, we're going to be looking at the news from outside the UK. I'm mainly going to try and focus more on news outside of the US if possible. Today, because I kind of want to focus a bit more outside of the US, but if we need to, we could also have a look at some news from the US. Good morning, Alex Adams. Hope you are doing well. I just want to also reference as well. I'm leaving my live stream still scheduled for 6 p.m. today. My blood donation appointment is at 3:10 today. I don't know whether or not I will be back in time for the live stream, and I'm not sure how I'm going to be feeling after the show as well. There's also a possibility that I may not be allowed to donate blood as well. So we will have to wait and see. If it all goes well, and whatnot, then I'll obviously be planning to do it as a regular. I want to do it as a regular thing. But I don't know what constitutes regular blood donations, because obviously I need to still keep some blood for myself, obviously. I'm going to be fattening myself up at lunchtime as well before it as well, just to keep myself energetic, shall we say, as well for it. But just let's go. First of all, we'll look at the local weather. So here in London, which is where I live, just for reference for people who are wondering. So here in London at the moment is 17 degrees. Maximum temperature for today is going to reach as high as 22 degrees. That's not too bad. Still warm, but not like the heat waves that we've been having lately. There is a chance around 1 o'clock to between 1 and 3 o'clock in the afternoon of some forecasts of some showers. Unfortunately, 20% chance of some showers. Not guaranteed, but there is chance of some showers. Now it's reporting that there is going to be cloudy all day today as well. There is a little bit of sunshine out there this morning, but sun is expected to dense away here. But temperatures in London are expected to reach as high as 23 degrees. Wednesday, 55% chance of rain again, so there is a possibility of forecasting rain tomorrow as well, but it is only a 55% chance. We're with the maximum temperature of 23 degrees. And same on Thursday, 35% chance, much lower percentage of catching rain on Thursday. When again, temperature is at 23 degrees. So next today, tomorrow, and Thursday in London, in the capital, it's not going to be too warm. It's going to be it'll be okay. It'll be okay. Not boiling hot. I think once you go some people have said if you go past 25, that's when it really starts to feel the heat. I would agree with that. I would definitely agree with that there. So let's have a look at the local weather, and don't worry, we will come to the daily quota, but let's have a look at the weather, guys. So this is Tuesday. This is 10 a.m. at the moment, but we can see some of the forecasts of temperatures there. London 20 degrees, Cardiff 19, Manchester 18, Dublin and Belfast 16, 17 respectively. Edinburgh there 17 degrees. This is 10 o'clock in the morning at the moment. So you can see not much showers really anywhere, but there's a tiny little scatters, but nothing too much there. But you can see most temperatures in around the capital there, 19, 20 degrees at the moment here in the morning. And then 15, 18, 17 degrees, not too bad temperatures again. And again, if we just have a look here, temperatures in south of Wales there, not too bad temperatures there as well. Why is my screen lightened up? Oh, well, let me just fix that. There we go. Temperatures as well in the north of Wales and the Midlands there, you can see 17, 18 degrees. Again, bear in mind this is obviously 10 o'clock in the morning, 19, 20 degrees there. And then if we go a bit more further up further north, as we go north of England to the south of Scotland there, 18, 17, 18 degrees here. And then we head into Scotland, 16, 17 degrees, 15, 17 degrees Celsius, their temperatures there. If we just swap to just to go a little bit higher, this is afternoon. Temperatures not too bad. There is some scattered showers in parts of Scotland, but not too bad. Not too bad parts, but mostly it will be, I would say, mainly a dry day with some showers in some spots in Scotland. I would say there. I would say the same in England. There is mostly dry with some showery spots there. You can see some of the showery spots where they said they forecast here. So you can see the blobs there. There will be a few blobs, and there will also be a few blobs down the south of England as well there, just for reference there. Let's just have a look at Wednesday afternoon tomorrow is what is forecast here. So 21 degrees temperatures. This is Wednesday afternoon. So you can see it's a little bit more rain forecast around this area as well. Here, 21 degrees there. But there's a little bit more blobs of showers. Pockets of showers, quite a few places here. So there's a good chance you'll get hit with a few shower heads, with a few showers here and there. So again, do take your brolly out with you, even though it may not be forecast rain. There is a lot of rain dotted around there. And again, even in the Midlands, although there doesn't seem to be too many, there's a possibility you might get hit with it. And again, as you go further up, again, not too much rain spots, but you might get hit with a few here. But if you go a bit more further north, as we go from the north of England to the south of Scotland, you can see that there is some drip drops of rain there. A little bit more, looks like there's a little bit more showers forecast around in Scotland there. Not too bad, actually, to be fair. But if you just have a look there, Belfast and Dublin, 18 degrees Celsius there. That is for Wednesday there. Just have a quick look at forecast for Friday, just out of curiosity here, because we just looked at. Oh no, actually, should we look at Thursday? We did look at Thursday. Just have a quick look at forecast for Friday. Doesn't look like Friday there's forecast. Looks like much of any rain at all from the looks of it here. Yeah, there's no. Looks like there's going to be no rain whatsoever. I believe this is where the temperatures are going to be quite warmer, if I'm correct. Yeah, so temperatures are going to be quite warm here. So yeah, the temperatures are going to be quite hot. You can see from the temperatures here. Yeah, going to be quite hot. Friday is the day of the week where it's good. Out of all the days of the week, that's going to be the day where it's going to be the warmest the most here. And you can tell by the temperatures there. Again, no forecast of any rain whatsoever across the whole of the UK here. 22, 23 degrees. So it's going to be above 20. So it'll be a little bit warmer than it normally is. So obviously just make sure you carry a bottle of water with you. Take any necessary precautions. Temperature is not too bad in Scotland still. 17, 18, 19 degrees respectfully there. So you guys up in the north not going to be too bad there as well. And then Belfast and Dublin 19 degrees respectively there. So that's the weather forecast there, guys, so far. Obviously we'll have a look again tomorrow and see how it is updated since then. But we'll go to the daily quote in just a moment. Stephen Moran, good to see you there. Hope you're doing well. I am doing great, heading home for a sleep, and my youngest daughter got engaged on Sunday night. Oh, congratulations, Adam, Alex, Adam. I'm very happy to hear that. That's and fantastic news. Always lovely to hear great news there. And good morning, or should I say evening, to Stephen Mon, who is on the other side of the world. Good to see you, my friend. Hope you are doing well. It's always lovely to hear stories, wonderful stories like that. So, guys, we got today's daily quota before we go and look at the local news here, of course. I mean, how can we not? There we go. So here is today's one, guys, from Marcus Aurelius. There you go. You can see his name there for today's date, the 22nd of July here. And it reads, "You have the power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. That is today's daily quote there, guys. I hope you find that powerful indeed. Marcus Aurelius. What a very fascinating character that is for sure, guys, especially if you know your history here. Oh, I like this anonymous one for tomorrow. Really like this one for this anonymous one for tomorrow, but unfortunately, guys, you're gonna have to wait till tomorrow to see tomorrow's daily quota, because that's just how it goes, guys. But anyway, I do hope you found today's quota interesting. That is for sure, guys. So what's been going on in the news? Well, like I said, we're going to start with news outside of the US before we go to some of the US media. But don't be surprised if we obviously end up talking about Trump on America in some way, shape, or fashion here. So we'll start with Al Jazeera here. What's what they got on the front there? They got. Iran's foreign minister says nuclear enrichment will continue, but is open to talks here. The foreign minister, Abbas Aghariki, said continuing enrichment is a matter of national pride after US and Israeli attacks cause serious damage. So Iran's Minister of Foreign Affairs has said that Tehran cannot give up on its uranium enrichment program, which was severely damaged in the wave of US and Israeli airstrikes last month. It has now stopped because, yes, damage are serious and severe, but obviously we cannot give up enrichment because it is an achievement of our own scientists. And now, more than that, it's a question of national pride, Agharegi told US broadcaster Fox News in an interview aired on Monday. Interesting. I honestly don't like. I still think they may secretly build nuclear weapons as a direct result of what's happened of the recent events as well. But the thing is that there's been no, for every single visit, there's been no sign that they have been building nuclear weapons anyway. But nobody seems to have a problem with Israel holding nuclear weapons in that area as well. I think they're the only country in the Middle East that actually has nuclear weapons as well. I mean, nobody really wants to talk about that. Agharegi said at the beginning of the interview that Iran is open to talks with the United States, but that they would not be a direct talks for the time being. If they, the US, are coming for a win-win solution, I'm ready to engage with them, he said. We are ready to do any confidence-building measures needed to prove that Iran's nuclear program is peaceful and will remain peaceful forever, and Iran would never go for nuclear weapons, and in return we expect them to lift their sanctions, the foreign minister added. So a message to the United States is that let's go for a negotiated solution for Iran's nuclear program. Now, his comments were part of a 16-minute interview aired on Fox News, a broadcaster known to be closely watched by US President Donald Trump. There is a negotiated solution for a nuclear program. We have done it once in the past and we're ready to do it again. Tehran and Washington have been holding talks on the nuclear program earlier this year, 7 years after Trump pulled the US out of the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, the JCPOA, which Tehran signed with several world powers in 2015. Under the pact, Iran opened the country's nuclear sites to compensate international inspections in return for the lifting of sanctions. And Israel applied pressure on Trump to drop the plans. That was what he did in doing so, because it was because of Donald Trump, and it's because of him as a situation that we're in. But from Israel's point of view, they want to harm Iran. And by the way, I'm not making any bones about the current regime in Iran is not it's not one that I support. I don't support the way their system in any way, shape or form, because it's not fair on Iranian people. But they are the victims in this situation here, which I'm sorry to say. I know it sounds silly, but they are the victims in this here, because at the end of the day, they were the ones who were attacked, and rightfully so. When you are attacked, you have a right to retaliate. Everyone. You hear all the time about Israel's right to defend itself. Iran has a right to defend itself too, even if you don't agree with them. So Trump's decision to pull the US out of the deal came after Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who accused Iran of pursuing a secret nuclear program. By the way, there's no evidence for this as well. Iran has long maintained that its nuclear enrichment program is strictly for civilian purposes. Again, here's the thing: if you have evidence though otherwise, you need to publish it to show that it's not that they are nuclear weapons. The US and Iran engaged in talks as recently as May to reach a new deal, but those negotiations broke down when Israel launched surprise bombing raids across Iran on June the 13th, targeting military and nuclear sites. More than 900 people were killed in Iran, at least 28 people were killed in Israel before a ceasefire took hold on the 24th of June. Yeah, 12 days of conflict, unfortunately, that went through there. Thank you, Steve McMorn, for the $5 New Zealand. Thank you so much for your support. Appreciate that. And yeah, we've seen these already, but just to remind ourselves, when Israel's attacks damages Nazarene nuclear facilities, Israel struck the Nazarene nuclear facility in Isfahan province, Iran's largest uranium enrichment site, destroying the above-ground section of the pilot plant, along with key electricity infrastructure. So yeah, this is a lot of the targets that they hit. Electrical substation damage, power supply support building, backup gas turbine generators, pilot fuel enrichment plant, underground enrichment programs. Yeah, what they don't have is I think America only did 1 or 2 strikes in Iran with their bunker busting bombs. I think that's the only thing that they did there as well. So the US has also joined Israel in attacking Iran's nuclear facilities, with the Pentagon later claiming it had to set back the country's nuclear program by 1 or 2 years. We don't honestly know how far they've set back the nuclear program. And the thing is, at the moment, there's been no sign that what they're doing is actually considered a threat. Which I really just don't buy it. the thing is that, you know, there's lots of countries that have nuclear weapons, and it actually, and sadly, unfortunately, nations need to have them in order to protect themselves from conflict. I hate saying that, but that's just the truth. Will Solomon Mondawi help or hurt New York's economy? I think he will help it. As Trump's tariff deadline looms, economics can see the car before the store. Israel kills 60 in Gaza. Hamas said it's working on a truce to stop famine. Another 60 lives lost that did not need to be lost. Israeli forces arrest Palestinians in West Bank raids. What? Let me guess. They would defend. Let me guess. They arrested them because they were defending themselves. Yeah. Wafa is reporting that Israeli forces arrested several Palestinians in early morning raids in the occupied West Bank. They include 4 Palestinians from the town, 3 Palestinians. Israeli forces also stormed the town. No details of arrests or damages have been reported yet. Wafa said, "Yeah, because they can. No reason why, they just can. You know, otters spotted in Kashmir River, and residents are both thrilled and wary. Long believed to be extinct, Erushkan otters show sign of resurgence, with 3 sightings by Indian wildlife officers in 2 places since 2023. Oh, lovely. Turn back, there's something in the water. Can we play it? I just about saw it. Oh, there we go. There it is. Oh, that's awesome. Love that. Love that. That's very cool. Otters in Kashmir waters. They thought they were extinct, but they're not. Fantastic. Love that. Love that. Love that. Love that. That was a great story to share. Good morning, Stephen Bank. I hope you're doing well. Lovely. Always nice to hear see the odd good story you see sometimes from on newses. Microsoft cyber attack hits a 100 organization security firm, says the Shadow Server Foundation AI Security would not disclose which firms were affected. A sweeping cyber and espionage operation targeting Microsoft server software has compromised about 100 different organizations over the weekend. 2 of the organizations to help uncover the attack announced their findings on Monday. On Saturday, Microsoft issued an alert about the active attacks on self-hosted SharePoint servers, which are widely used by organizations to share documents and collaborate with others. SharePoint instances run off Microsoft servers were unaffected. Dubbed a 0-day because it alleviates a previous undisclosed digital weakness, the hacks allow spies to penetrate vulnerable servers and potentially drop a backdoor to secure continuous access to victim organizations. That's not good. That's not good at all. China begins construction of the world's biggest hydropower dam in Tibet. The project on a river that runs through Tibet and India's downstream could dwarf the Three Gorges Dam when completed. They're actually starting the project. I've heard about this. China has started building the mega dam in the Zaburo River in Tibet, which could become the world's largest source of hydroelectric power when completed, according to Chinese officials. The mega project in the foothills of the Himalayas will include 5 hydropower stations on the river, also known as the Brahmaputra, further downstream the India and the Jamuna River in Bangladesh. China's Xinhua State News Agency reported that Premier Xi Jinping attended a commemorative ceremony for the dam on Saturday. Beijing had planned the project for several years, and approval was given in December last year, linking the development to the country's carbon neutrality and economic goals in the Tibet region. Quote, the electricity generated will primarily transmitted to other regions for consumption, while also meeting local power needs in Tibet. Xinhua reported on the groundbreaking ceremony in southeastern Tibet city of Nigeria. The project is expected to cost an estimated 1.2 trillion yang. Wow, $167 billion. India says in January it's raised concerns with China about the project, saying it would monitor and take necessary measures to protect our interests. India's Ministry of External Affairs said at the time that China had been urged to ensure that the interests of the downstream states of the Burma are not harmed by activity of the upstream area. Yeah, this is one of the things that they were... Yeah, this is very concerning. I'm very concerned about the amount of water is going to be, because they will have control of the water, which means they could seriously harm India and Pakistan by this as well. I'm not a big fan of this. I'm not a big fan of it. I don't like that they can hold hostage to India's water there. Venezuela to probe El Salvador's project for torture of U.S. deportees. Deported migrants said they were beaten, sexually abused, and fed rotten food inside the notorious El Salvador prison. Venezuela has lost an investigation into the role of El Salvador's president. Any senior officials played in alleged torture of 252 migrants who were detained in the Central American country after being deported from the U.S. Venezuelan Attorney General Tarek William Saab made the announcement in caucus on Monday as he presented photos and testimonies of some of the men who say they were beaten, sexually abused, and fed raw food while inside the notorious El Salvador prison. Others were denied medical care or treatment without anesthesia, Saab said, urging the International Criminal Court and Human Rights Council to act. The Venezuelans were sent to El Salvador from the US in March after US President Donald Trump invoked the 1978 Alien Enemies Act to deport alleged members of the Tregoagua gang without due process. The deportations drew fierce criticism from human rights groups and a legal battle with the Trump administration. Family members and lawyers said many of the men denied that they had gang ties. Yeah, I've talked a little bit about this already on Rumble, and I'll touch a bit more on it here. They, instead of President Trump and his people sending the Venezuelans back to Venezuela and negotiating with the country, they sent them to El Salvador instead. And obviously, understandably, Venezuela are absolutely furious somehow some of these people have been treated in there. But the thing is, I don't really know what Venezuela's going to do here, because if Venezuela are protected in a certain... I don't know what exactly Venezuela are planning to do. Exactly. I don't know what they can do. I think at the end of the day, all we can do is kick and scream about, hey, stop treating our people like that. I think that's the only thing they can do in that situation there. Trump administration bars Wall Street Journal from trip amid Epstein spat. No, that's not a surprise. In South Korea, Trump's tariff threatened to place U.S. love affairs under strain. Genocidal tragedy, Ukraine and Poland at odds with over one massacre of 1943. What is the kill zone people in Gaza needs to cross to receive aid? Will Israel ever get blowback for bombing its neighbours? I've covered that in an analysis piece on Rumble. That's going to come out on Friday, that analysis piece. I'm going to talk about that on Friday. US police officer Breonna Taylor's death sentence to 33 months in prison. At least 65 killed in Gaza attacks as Israel sends tanks to Deir al-Bashir. Botswano sun blasts top Brazilian court official over asset freeze. Just accuses Supreme Court justice of behaving like every dictator after assets and accounts frozen. The Supreme Court Justice Alexander Del Masso has ordered the freezing of the accounts and assets of former President Jair Bolsonaro's third son, Eduardo Bolsonaro, while former president may now face arrest over his activities on social media. Eduardo, a Brazilian congressman who has been active in Washington, D.C., drumming up support for his father's court battle, calls the decision another arbitrary and criminal decision by Morales. Thank you again for the $5 New Zealand dollars, Stephen Moore. Much appreciated, my friend. Thank you for your support. Morales relies on illegal decisions to protect him from the consequences of his crimes, like every dictator, Eduardo Bolsonaro said in a post on X on Tuesday. Quote, if he thinks this will make him stop, I will make it clear. I will not be intimidated. I will not be silenced. I will prepare myself for this moment, he said. This is just a demonstration of abuse of power and confirms everything I have been denouncing in Washington and the authorities worldwide, he added. CNN Brazil first reported that the confidential court decision was issued on Saturday as part of the probe into Eduardo Bolsonaro's conduct in the U.S. Morales, who oversees the criminal case for which the former president is accused of plotting a coup to overturn the 2022 election results, issued a separate ruling on Monday saying that any attempt to circumvent a court ruling in which he ordered Jair Bolsonaro to wear an ankle bracelet and banning him from using social media could result in an arrest. Brazilian news outlet G1 reported that Morales summoned Bolsonaro's lawyers to clarify their client's alleged non-compliance with his order restricting use of social media. According to G1, Morales gave lawyers 24 hours to present an explanation, adding that if the defense does not adequately justify Bolsonaro's online behavior, he may order the immediate arrest of the former president. On Friday, Bolsonaro described the decision by Morales to prohibit his social media use as cowardice, so he intends to continue engaging with the media to ensure his voice was heard. Yeah, well, what they don't want is the president misleading propaganda in what his alleged crimes he has. I mean, of course, innocent till proven guilty, but it's still hard to... I still have a very hard time believing that he's innocent, guys. I really, really do. I really, really do. Right, let's move away from Al Jazeera. Let's see what else there is. This is Middle Eastern Eye. I don't know if we'll open up any articles, but we'll see. Gaza extermination. What is your last thoughts when you're starving to death? Says Mullah Hassani. Israeli soldiers arrested in Belgium after war crimes complaint by rights group. I covered that on Rumble. Break the siege. Calls for mounts for Pope Leo to visit. Calls mount for Pope Leo to visit Gaza. Pontiff faces growing pressure on social media to lead efforts to bring life-saving food and medical supplies to the besieged enclave. Pope Leo is facing growing calls to take direct action in Gaza, and critics urge him to take a lead aid mission to the besieged enclave after Israeli airstrikes amid worsening humanitarian conditions. The push was in response to a statement the Pontiff posted on Saturday expressing sorrow over the Israeli strikes that killed 3 people. Tragic news continues arriving from the days in the Middle East, especially from Gaza, the Pope wrote. I'm wondering if he actually is going. I don't know why people are going to try. I don't know if he's got. The thing is, he probably will want to visit Gaza, but the problem is that too many people will push him against it. Children in Gaza dies. David Lammy says the UK is happy to do more to help. Well, why don't you condemn Israel? Palestine Action Court case UK decision makes an international outlier. Israel's full special forces abduct director of hospital in Gaza. Why? Massouni Al-Saham, head of the Abu Aswana Anassia hospital, was captured outside the IRRC field hospital. Part of the enclave. So the Monday that happened. Person killed was a local journalist who had been conducting an interview with Al-Hamas at the time of the attack. Another journalist killed. What a surprise. Killer effects. I'm just seeing what the reason is. An IRRC spokesperson said they admitted in treating patients wounded in the incident and said it was very concerned about the safety and security around the field hospital. Yeah. Absolute. Once again. UK expected to sign provisional Eurofighter deal with Turkey. Syrian Kurds face 30-day ultimatum from the US and Turkey. When was this published? Yesterday. US and Kurdish officials tell Syrian Democratic forces to stop dragging their feet and join the Damascus government from within weeks. The United States and Turkey have given the Syrian Democratic Forces a 30-day deadline to finish integrating with the Syrian government. Sources familiar with the matter told Middle Eastern Eye. SDF leader Massoud Azal signed an agreement in March with Syrian interim president Amir al-Shari, outlining the full merger of the SDF and its agencies into the Damascus government. However, progress has stalled as the SDF and other Kurdish groups have demanded autonomy and resisted merging under the Syrian Defense Ministry, insisted on retaining a separate military command and organization structure within the Syrian army. No, because then it will allow you to break away. You should all be merged in a part of it. America and Turkish patience is weighing thin. Sources told ME during a meeting in Syria this week, US and Turkish officials gave the SDF a 30-day ultimatum to join the Damascus government. The SDF was told that not all of its armed forces would be integrated into the Syrian army. Units excluded from integration would be disarmed. The overall control will remain within the Syrian government, one source said. That's how it needs to be. That is how it needs to be. The Damascus government repeatedly shows little interest in incorporating the SDF, the all-women's unit known as the YPJ, an offshoot of the Kurdish Workers' Party, the PKK, into its ranks. Thomas Barracks, a US ambassador to Turkey's special envoy to Syria, has made it clear in several interviews and statements that months that Washington opposes such demands and favours a unified Syria with one nation, one military and one state. Yeah, I know you guys prefer that, but I don't think they do. I'm having a very hard time believing that they're going to stick to that. I mean, I would like it to be like that, but I just don't think so, guys. I'm not 100% convinced about that. Alexandria Ocasio contests defense decision to support military aid for Israel. What? Yeah, I saw a little bit of this from Vosh's point of view. The New York lawmaker has faced a deluge of criticism for backing funding for Israel's Iron Dome defense system for a second time. The New York lawmaker voted an amendment by sought to block $500 million for Democrats rushing to be an almost party Taylor Greene's amendment, which eventually lost at 466 votes. In a post on Saturday, Cortez claimed that the Greens amendment did nothing to cut off offensive aid to Israel, nor to end the flow of US munitions used in Gaza. What does it do to cut off defensive Iron Dome capabilities while allowing actual bombs killing Palestinians to continue, she said. I have long stated I do not believe that adding to the death count of innocent victims of this war constitutes to its end. That is a simple and clear difference of opinions that has long been established and remain focused on cutting flow of US munitions that are being used to perpetrate the genocide in Gaza. On Saturday, the Democratic Socialist of America, of which Ocasio-Cortez is a member, said it was crucial that lawmakers backed all compassionate arms embargoes against Israel, including those concerning defensive weapons. While the congressman voted against the Defensive Appropriations Bill itself, voting against funding for the imperialist military-industrial complex and the Israeli genocide, we are further deeply disappointed by her clarifying statement on her position on the Iron Dome. Along with other US-funded interceptor systems, the Iron Dome has embroiled Israel to invade and bomb no less than 5 different countries in the past 2 years. The SA said that providing any military aid to Israel while they carry out a genocide with the US support is completely unacceptable as it legitimizes its eliminating this campaign against the Palestinian people. The fact that Representative Ocasio-Cortez acknowledges that Israel is carrying out this genocide makes her support for the military all the more disappointing and incontinuous, the SA continued. On Monday, Cortez faced criticism from members of the public, including at least one person who defaced her campaign office with red paint. A sign was left outside the building accusing the congressman of funding a genocide in Gaza. New York native faced a 2021 delusion criticism over the Iron Dome defensive system, which she cried on the House floor after changing her vote to no to present, providing $1 billion funding for the defensive system. In an open letter after the incident, she said she had changed her vote because she was subject to hateful targeting. She's not as good as she used to be. She's blending into the establishment. Don't like it, guys. Don't like it. Sudan war intensifies in Kordofan as SFF raises villages. Hundreds die in rapid support forces massacre describes one of the deadliest wars begin. Satellite images taken on July the 14th shows thermal scarring of a massacre. Hundreds of civilians were killed by the ISF on Saturday and Sunday in its war, and the Sudanese armed forces intensifies in the strategic, vital Kordofan region. Images shown by Yale University, which monitors the war in Sudan since it began in April 2023, shows the smothering ruins of Shal al-Nom, one of several villages in North Kordofan, attacked by the ISF over the weekend. The HRL identified smoke rising from several recently raised structures as well as disjointed areas of thermal scarring, indicative of international arson attacks. Also viable, it said, was a pattern consistent of vehicle track around buildings and throughout the community. More than 200 civilians are believed to have been killed, most of them buried alive in their homes and shot dead in the attack of Ashi al-Salom, which begins on July the 12th. It's just absolute madness. It's just absolute terrible. So many innocent lives lost there. Some of these stories are older stories. They're from Middle East and there. Let's have a look and see what's happening in Africa news. Cameroon. 81 candidates have applied to run for presidential election in Cameroon. Egypt's government scheme offers free train rides home to Sudanese refugees. Senegal tensions persist between Osman Soho and Bashir Domo 5. Ceasefire agreement between Katishka and M23 raises hope for lasting peace. Yep, there's a short video I'm doing on that. There's a short video on that dropping, I think, tonight, midnight. Pretty sure I've got a short video on that dropping. Jump tariffs threat leaves Brazilian coffee producers in the dark. Kenyan activist Bonfire Maswani faces terror charges after deadly protests. China ships 31 electric mining trucks to Africa for Zambia copper mine. Scientists say warning climate is putting bees at risk. That's not a surprise. What else is there? Yeah. Yeah, I hope this guy loses, but because we spoke about him being one of the oldest presidents, but 81 candidates, guys. That's a lot of candidates. Venus Williams announced Sungrand retour. UK police arrest 6 after protesters descend on the housing asylum seekers there. Niger opens investigation into 5 million sale of Martinez meteorite found in the Algiers region there as well. Just a couple of stories there from Africa news. Let's have a look at CNA here. This is Central News Asia, just for reference. Death toll in Bangladesh as Bangladesh fighter jet crash rises to 27. At least 27 people, mostly children, were killed after a Bangladeshi fighter jet crashed into a school in the capital Dhaka. A government official has said on Tuesday, an update earlier told of at least 20 dead. Most of the victims were school children who had been left out of class when the Chinese-made F-7BJI aircraft slammed into Milestone School and College on Monday, into a school of all places. A crash, which is the country's deadliest aviation accident in decade, also left more than 170 people injured. So far, 25 people have died, among them 25 are children and one is a pilot. Sabia Rahman, Special Assistant to the Chief Advisor of the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, said, children. Why did it hit a school, of all places? 78 people are being treated in different hospitals, Ramadan added. The Bangladeshi military on Monday said that the pilot, Flight Lieutenant Josgar Islam, was on a routine training mission when the jet reportedly encountered a mechanical failure. The exact cause remains under investigation, it said in the statement. The pilot tried to divert the aircraft away from the densely populated area, but despite its best efforts, crashed into a two-story school building, the military added. So apparently, according to this, they tried to avoid the school. The interim government of Mohammed Yunus declared that Tuesday would be a national day of mourning. Grief and sorrow. Yeah, it's just an absolute terrible, terrible story. Really, my heart goes out to loved ones out there, children. Landslide, heavy rain, Pakistan sweeps away cars, killing 3 people. Rift between Cambodia, Thailand, deepens over landmine. Blast as ex-leaders Han's sons. Toscan trade barbs. Indonesia subsidies 14 spike in fire hotspots over 1.5 weeks. Malaysia warns of haze. Chinese consumer brands gain foothold in Indonesia. Philippines flooding displaced thousands of millennia. 2 are missing. Oh my god. Schools and government officials in Malaya and the surrounding province were closed after a night of heavy rain. For floodwaters driven by torrential rain, ground life in the Philippine capital to halt on Tuesday. Tens of thousands evacuated from their homes and at least 2 people believed missing. Schools and government officials in Malaya and the surrounding province were closed after a night of rain that saw the region's Makatia River burst its banks. More than 23,000 people living along the river were evacuated overnight, sheltering in schools. Village, hail and covered courtyards. Another 25,000 more were evacuated in the metropolitan area, Quezon and Catalan cities. Catalan cities, I hope I said that right. Usually there are people from low-lying areas beside the creek feeding into the river, according to Roman Town of the Makia Rescue Office, who said the river had reached 18 metres in height. An elderly woman and her driver were swept down the swollen creek as they attempted to cross the bridge in Catalan, said John Paul Nears, the Emergency Operations Assistance Centre Assistant Supervisor. The car was recovered last night. The rescue operation is continuing, but as of today, we haven't found either of them, he said. The car window was broken, so we hope they were able to escape. Jesus. Tropical storm Wicker hits northern Vietnam with strong winds and heavy rain. They got another tropical storm there, Vietnam. Hopefully nobody will get hurt. Generally mean that. North Korea plans to build another 5,000-ton destroyer. India's court acquits 12 in deadly 2006 plane train blast cause. Japan faces rice shortage as South Korea battles oversupply. Well, I see how South Korea's got an oversupply. Japan is facing a rice shortage. Well, why don't you guys talk to each other about that if that's true? US government worker targeted of exit ban prevented from leaving China for months, according to reports. Pakistan arrests 11 suspects after viral video of a couple shot dead in honor killing. What a terrible crime. Radio journalist killed in southern Philippines as well. Japan's leader has lost its mandate of heaven, according to commentary there. And that's some of the stories there from Central News Asia there. Different stuff. Let's have a listen to, we'll have a look at the Kiev Independent, see what they're saying here. Pope Leo to meet Russian Orthodox Church envoy for the first time. Pope Leo will meet with Metropolitan Anthony Avotsas, head of external relations for the Russian Orthodox Church, on July 26. The meeting will be the Pope Leo's first audience with a senior Russian cleric who represents Parishes Kirk, the head of the Russian Orthodox Church, at Pope Francis' funeral. The meeting signals that the Vatican seeks to reopen channels of communications with Moscow religious leadership following strained ties caused by Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. During a phone call between the Pope and Russian President Vladimir Putin on June 4th, the Kremlin urged the Vatican to take more an active role in defending what it described as freedom of religion in Ukraine, particularly for the Moscow-linked Ukrainian Orthodox Church. I'm sure the Pope will take that on board, Mr. Putin. But I'm sure the Pope would also like you to stop, stop the war that's taking place, in Ukraine as well. I'm sure he would like that as well. Russia repeatedly accused Ukraine of suppressing religious freedoms due to its ban on activities of the Moscow-linked church, with Kiev accused of continued ties to Russia during the full-scale war. It is not to be confused with the Autonomous Orthodox Church of Ukraine. During the phone call with Putin, the Pope emphasized the importance of dialogue and religious freedoms, according to the Vatican. The Russian-occupied parts of Ukraine has led to widespread destruction of churches, the killings and abductions of dozens of clergy, and the repression of independent churches and minority religions, according to Ukrainian officials. The Russian Orthodox Church is seen as closely tied to the Russian government, and the Patriarch Kirill has repeatedly voiced the support of the Russia's all-out invasion of Ukraine. That's kind of hard to. It's kind of hard to stick that together. Your church and your religion trying to justify what they're doing, when it's quite frankly it's not. The upcoming audience comes just a week after Pope Leo met President Volodymyr Zelensky at Castel Gollio on July 9th, ahead of the Ukraine Cavalry Conference hosted by Ukraine and Italy. The two discussed the war and urgent need for just and lasting peace, according to Vatican statement. Pope Leo also reiterated his offer to host both Ukrainian officials for talks, though Moscow has previously dismissed the Vatican as a possible venue. Zelensky, calling the meeting a great honour, expressed gratitude for the Pope's support and efforts towards peace. Pope Leo has previously voiced support for the war-torn Ukraine, saying the country had been marred by Russia's senseless war. His predecessor, late Pope Francis, also repeatedly condemned violence in Ukraine, but often drew criticisms from statements as previously as revitalises Russia's responsibility for the war there. Interesting. Russia's Supreme Court chair dies at 71 after an illness. India Poskaya, the chair of the Russian Supreme Court, has died in Moscow at the age of 71 after a serious illness. Russia's state news agency TASS reported on July 22nd, cited sources close to her. The judge battled the illness for over a year. Russia's state news agency RPK reported without providing further details of the condition. Rest in peace, I guess. I don't know too much about her, so I can't really comment too much. Russia attacked Sumy Oblast with drones, injured 11, including a 5-year-old child. At the time of this recording, it's a developing story. At the time of this recording, no one's been killed in this attack then. Russian forces launched a drone attack on Ukraine at northeastern Sumy Oblast on the 21st of July, injuring 11 people, including a 5-year-old boy, local officials said. This evening, Russia attacked civilian infrastructure in Nepal, comments with drones. Governor Olev's Harol wrote on Telegram. Reported at approximately 10 p.m. local time that 4 people, including the child, were injured and receiving medical assistance without hospitalization. Later updates increased the number of injured to 11. Fire broke out of the scene. The attacks of Sumy Oblast follows U.S. President Donald Trump to impose severe tariffs on Russia in 50 days as there's no peace deal with Ukraine, while Kiev and Moscow plan to resume peace talks on the July 21st. The Kremlin continues to launch attacks across Ukraine. U.S. Germany agreed to deliver 5 Patriot air defense systems to Ukraine. That sounds good. They said yesterday, according to European Prodolia, the announcement comes as Russia escalates its long-range strike campaign on Ukraine, including with ballistic missiles, the only advocate Patriot can shoot down. Overnight on the 21st of July, Russian forces had launched new mass air attacks against Ukraine, including 426 Shalar-type drones and various missiles, including Kisil air-launched ballistic missiles as well, Kabirs and KH-101 cruise missiles there. Steve, thank you so much for the $2 New Zealand dollars. Thank you so much for your support, my friend. Appreciate it. Speaking during the 29th Ukraine Defense Contact Group, a meeting better known as Ramazan Group, after the US base in Germany, Patel said he reached an agreement with US Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth during a recent trip to Washington as well. Yeah, they need those Patriot missiles to protect people. They really, really do. These are general staff numbers, so yeah, it's definitely increased since I last looked at it. Russia has lost 1,044,250 troops in Ukraine. These are the numbers. They put them out every day, guys, so I'll just read it to you. So Russia has lost 1,044,250 troops in Ukraine since the beginning of the full-scale invasion on February the 24th, 2022. The General Staff of Ukraine's Armed Forces reported today on July the 22nd. The number includes 1,090 casualties that Russian forces suffered just over the past day. According to the report, Russia has also lost 11,338 tanks, 23,035 armor fighting vehicles, 55,953 vehicles and fuel tanks, 30,680 artillery systems, 1,445 multiple launch rocket systems, 1,199 air defense systems, 241 airplanes, 340 helicopters, 47,437 drones, 3,533 cruise missiles, 28 ships and boats, and 1 submarine. So always that 1 submarine, guys, every time I read it. Maybe one day the 1 submarine will become 2 or 3, perhaps, maybe. So those are some of the numbers there. Paris confirms strong interest in Ukraine's armed co-production. Moscow's 2022 Teacher of the Year killed while fighting in Ukraine was the reports. Just seeing the stories on the left-hand side. I'm ready to fight. Ukraine reject nominee for Economic Crimes Bureau calls government decision unlawful. Ukraine's National Security Council announces modern dom on business inspections. That looks like some of the stories there from the Kiev Independent there. That's some of the stories that are happening with regards to the war in Ukraine. Thank you again, Steve McMahon, for the 2 New Zealand, another 2 New Zealand dollars. Thank you so much for your super chats. Very generous this morning. Really appreciate your support. Thank you. Let's have a look at Euro News here, guys. Zelensky announced new rounds of peace talks with Russia. US and Paris agree to ship 5 Patriot defense systems to Ukraine. We talked about that already. Spain's Sanchez urges Latin American leaders to combat far-right rise. The Spanish Prime Minister participated in the Damicia Sampron Forum alongside leaders from Latin American countries. He warned against the rise of extremism and digital manipulation. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez began a tour of Latin America, Chile on Monday, which included participation in the International Forum on the Defence of Democracy and meetings related to prominent agreements between the EU and Mesquiol. Government sources said the trip is part of Spain's strategy to strengthen ties between the EU and Latin America. Speaking at the Democracy Always Forum organised by Chilean President Gabriel Blanc, Sanchez called on progressive leaders in Latin America to step forward to go on with the offensive against the rise of the far right. The Spanish leader warned that democracy is threatened by a coalition of interests between the oligarchs and the far right, which he noted represents a real threat both to America and Europe there. Sanchez announced international hate and lies, which he said spread across both continents, and described it as a moral duty to defend democratic values on all fronts. Indeed, indeed. Good morning, Alison Kier. Good to see you there. Thank you for the £2 super chat. Hi, all in chat. Hi, Reganelite. All how the DPR. All how Democratic Penguins Republic. Thank you so much for the £2 super chat. Thank you. Helping reach today's super chat goal. Thank you guys for that. Really appreciate it. As the primary course of action, Sanchez proposes strengthening democratic institutions, combating disinformation, and reducing inequality. He also announced that Spain will host the next edition of the summit in 2020 and 2025, which this year took place in Santiago there. Very, very good. Yeah, hopefully that, Spain being a good voice there. Are France working conditions amongst Europe's worst? I have no idea. Rent versus net salary in Europe, the most and least affordable houses there. What else is there? UK online legislation. Poland discovers one of Europe's largest oil deposits in a decade. The Wallen East 1 as well is estimated to hold 22 million tons of crude oil and 5 million cubic meters of natural gas, with the border concessions potentially containing even more. Oh no. Central European Plutonium, CEP, has announced Poland's largest and one of Europe's most significant controversial oil finds in a decade, located off the Central Europe's country's Baltic Sea coast. The breakthrough was made at CEP's Wallen East 1, some 6 kilometers from the port city of, I can't say that name, in Poland's north west. Preliminary figures suggest that the WEI site contains 22 million tons of recoverable crude oil and constantly, along with 5 million cubic meters of commercial grade natural gas. More oil, guys. They found more oil because that's exactly what everyone needs. Apologies for the yawning. I can't help it. So I don't know. It seems like all the time now I'm just feeling half asleep. UN concerned about Taliban arrest of women by dress code violations. No sign of beating on man who died in Hungary hospital, nurse said. Those are some of the stories from Euro News. Got about 10 minutes left, so we will be looking at some news from America, guys. We will look at some news from America. This is France 24. France, UK, and 23 other countries issued joint plea for the war in Gaza to end now. Well, why don't they? Are they condemning Israel? Are they condemning Israel? Are they condemning Israel? No, they're not condemning Israel. Well, then I'm not even going to bother opening it. Israeli gunfire kills at least 32 near Gaza's aid distribution center, civil defense says. Trump administration releases files on Martin Luther King against family's wishes. Oh, against the wishes of the family. Oh, that's I'm not sure about that. Trump attempting to distract us from the Epstein files there. Can a French citizens petition reverse the reintroduction of the banned pesticides? Harvard fights Trump administration court over £2.6 billion funding cut. Venezuela accuses El Salvador of torturing migrants deported by the US. Iran to continue nuclear enrichment despite US strikes ahead of European talks. Death toll in Bangladesh fighter jet crash rises to 27, which we just looked at as well. Those are like some of the. Is that all the news? There's some other stories here. French court jails free for treating champagne workers like slaves. Hunter Biden slams George Clooney on the anniversary of father's campaign exit. Musk's ex denies French alleged allegations of algorithm manipulation. Italian festival cancelled concert by pro-Putin conductor Joe Farad. Trump threatens to block the NFL DC stadium deal unless Commanders revert to Redskins' name. Oh, for crying out loud. It's threatened to derail a planned NFL stadium deal in Washington, D.C. and led the American football team Commanders change its name back to Redskins, a term widely seen as a racial slur. The team has changed its name in 2020 after decades of criticism from indigenous rights organizations. Who cares? Who cares what the team's... This is the team's name is called... A team's name is called Commanders. Move on. Yeah, Redskins does sound racist. It does sound racist to me. Like, just get up. Move on from it, Trump. For crying out loud. Sorry, I just need to charge this, guys. My God. What a dumbass. Shall we go to American news? We've got time. Everyone's saying good morning to everyone. Just a quick reminder, guys. I may still be doing. I don't know if I am or I'm not going to do the live stream. Doing my blood donation at 3:10, and I honestly don't know how I'm going to react to it. I don't know if I'm going to be donating blood as well, because there's a possibility I might not even donate blood. So it's all kind of up in the air, but we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, how it goes. I may feel really, really tired and exhausted and may not be able to do the live stream at 6 o'clock. But at the moment, I'm leaving it on the schedule. If I'm too tired, if I'm too exhausted, I will put out a post, and I'll also notify the Discord server as well if I'm unable to do the live stream. Just wanted to let you guys know that as well. Right, let's have a quick look at some of the news from America. This is from the Associated Press. Israel forces pushed into parts of central Gaza City that war had largely spread. UK, Canada, and other 26 countries say the war in Gaza must end now, but they're too scared to call out Israel for it. Trump caught off guard by recent Israeli strikes, White House says. Belgium questions two Israelis at a musical festival over Gaza crime allegations. I've covered that in a video on Rumble. At some point, it will drop in the week. Trump administration releases FBI records at Martin Luther King Jr. despite his family's opposition. That's why they release it then. Trump administration on Monday released records of FBI surveillance and Martin Luther King despite opposition from the slain Nobel laureate family and the civil rights groups that led to his 1968 assassination. The digital document dump includes more than 240,000 pages of records that have been under a court-imposed seal since 1977. When the FBI first gathered for the records, it turned them over to the National Archives and Records Administration. In a lengthy statement released on Monday, King's two living children, Martin Free, 67, and Bernard, 62, said their father's killing had been a captivating public curiosity for decades, but the pair emphasised the personal nature of the matter and urged the files to be viewed within their full historical context. The King got advance access to the records and had their own teams reviewing them. Those efforts continue even as the government's granted public access. Among the documents that lead the FBI received after the King's assassination, and details of the CIA's fixation on the King's pivot to international anti-war and anti-poverty movements in the years before he was killed. It was not immediately clear whether the documents shed new light on the King's life, the civil rights movement, on his murder. As the children of Dr. King and Mrs. Collier Scott King, his tragic death has been a intensely personal grief, a devastating loss of his wife, children, and the granddaughter he never met, an absence of our families endured over the 57 years, they wrote. We ask those who engage on the release of these files to do so with empathy, restraint, and respect our families' continuing grief. They also repeated the family's long-held contention that James L. Ray, the man convicted of assassinating King, was not solely responsible, if at all. Bernard King was 5 years old when her father was killed at the age of 39. Martin Free was 10. A statement from the Office of Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, called the disclosure unprecedented and said many of the records have been digitized for the first time. She praised President Donald Trump for pushing the issue. Yeah, I wonder why they're doing this now, guys. Why do you think they're doing this now? This has all been done now. This has all been done now. Funny how they're doing it all now. Good morning, Mifril. Hope you are doing well. What else is going on here? Pilot made a sharp turn to avoid a B-52 bomber, then took the mic to explain. Okay. The Bangladesh jet first crash we talked about. British F-35 fighter jet stranded in India for over a month, takes off after inspiring memes. A mountain lion bites 4-year-old on popular Olympic National Park trail, injuring a child. Oh my god. Billy Joel said he's okay and not deathly ill after receiving brain disorder diagnosis. From dying reefs to flooded graves, fascicles leading to global climate change. Don't blame Americans for calling football soccer. Swarms of Russian drones attack Ukraine tonight as Moscow puts new emphasis on the deadly weapon. Judge gives ex-officer nearly 3 years in Breonna Taylor raid. Rebuffs DOJ's calls for no prison time. John Oliver relaxed to the cancellation of Stephen Colbert's show. There's a video on that on their YouTube channel if you guys want to watch that at some point. San Francisco to ban homeless people from living in RVs with new parking limit. Why don't you actually help these homeless people instead of, forcing them into places they don't want to be? How about that instead, San Francisco? How about that instead? Trump and Philippine leader planned to talk tariffs at China's White House. There are many illegal marijuana farms, but federal agents target California's biggest illegal one. Storm Whipper hits North Vietnam with strong winds and heavy rain. Rescuer finds mum and son lost in California forest thanks to notes they left on a remote road. Wow. What an extraordinary story. Got a few minutes left. I think this is worth looking up. A mother and a 9-year-old son who got lost in a remote California forest while on their way to the Boy Scouts camps were rescued after a search crew found notes the pair had left behind. Notes weighed down on the rocks with help written at the top saying that they were stranded up the roads with no phone service. A volunteer search and rescue team that was training at Sierra Nevada foothills found the pair on Saturday, a day after they set out for the camp, according to Calvary County Sheriff Office. A woman and her son got lost on Friday after they left the Sacramento area, and that their GPS had directed them onto logging roads deep within the forest, said Lieutenant Greg Shark, a spokesperson for the Sheriff's Office. They eventually lost the GPS signal and then got stuck about 10 miles, 16 kilometers from the nearest paved road, Stark had said. They were reportedly missing the next day after not showing up at the camp. The country's volunteer search team initially narrowed down the pair's last known spot from locating sharing app, and then heard from campers who saw the woman missing a car a day earlier, the Sheriff's Office said. Well, it's just glad that they found them in the end. I'm just glad that there's a relief there, but yeah, the rocks, leaving these notes, I've been fortunate that they managed to have notes there to tell people that they were lost as well. Very fortunate there. But budget office says Trump's tax scores will add 3.4 trillion to deficit, leaving 10 million uninsured. Yep. More people are going to be worse off as a direct result of it. More people will be worse off as well. Right, so we're just coming near to the end of the show. It's coming up pretty much 9 o'clock. I did have two more to bring out, two more websites, but I'm going to leave the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times for now. We have completed the ritual of the bins with my grandson that says Mithril. Very good, very good. Very good indeed. Yes, guys. Just before you guys go, I don't know as of right now whether I'm going to be doing this afternoon's 6 o'clock live stream with Global News. Sorry, Global News. I don't know if I'm going to be doing it. It depends how the blood donation goes. If I have the blood donation at all, because again, it's still not guaranteed that I'm still going to have it. I mean, already the fact that I'm actually a bit half asleep and tired is not a good sign already. So it's going to drain. It's going to drain me, the blood, having a blood donation, if I do end up having it. So I just want to make you guys aware of that. So I may not do the live stream at all, just for reference. I may do the live stream on Saturday. Maybe I might do it tomorrow, Wednesday instead, so that we don't miss, so you guys don't miss out. So I may end up just doing it tomorrow instead, guys. But thank you guys all for coming along. Thank you, Stephen Moran and Alaston Keir, for your super chats this morning. I really appreciate your support. Thank you so much, because it really does help and helps support me and support the work that I do here on this channel. Helps keep me going. So I really appreciate it. I know not everyone can donate or be members, but obviously if you can't financially support me, one of the best ways you can support me is by hitting the like button, sharing across social media, subscribe if you haven't to already, leaving comments down below on videos, all that stuff to help boost the algorithm of my videos. That kind of stuff really does help support me if you can't support me financially, guys. So I don't feel bad if you can't. But I just wanted to make that clear for you guys. But yeah, whatever you guys are doing for the rest of your day, take care. I don't know again if hopefully Max will go live tonight. I know he didn't go live on Friday. But obviously Graham Hughes will be starting now on Politics Social with Good Morning Brew, if you guys want to check that out. And then at 10:30 will be Dave McGuinness with the paper review there, guys. So thank you guys all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.